What's up, guys? Barry Gaming here, back with another episode of Idle Chatter. Today we have June as always, we got MK, and we have on voice, no picture just yet, but we got GDP with us as well. You know, the GDP just builds every hero, probably two of every hero when they first come out, quadruples, everything, every fun combo you could ever want to see. But today we are going to be talking about everything Rogan. We're going to talk PvE, PvP, see what type of hero he actually was for all of us. We've all had a decent amount of time playing around with the hero this weekend. We've all probably been on Soul's account where he has two of them as well. So, we can talk about that part too. But let's jump into talking PvE first. What have you guys noticed with Rogan as far as Flame Shrine goes? Is it helping out the teams? I did see some people posting some Delacium Army footage where he's actually a good replacement for the third Delacium. So GDP, do you want to talk about this one first? You probably had the most experience in PvE with it with Delaciums.
Yeah, so Rogue a pretty good support hero. He probably brings you about the support of about Gurk, Olivia, equivalent damage boost around there. It's a little bit higher than Olivia because it's got the 40%, and then because it stacks on top of each other. And then he also brings in his bloodthirsty passive, from his active that helps you heal when you're on your actives and basics. So when I was running my broken spaces last night on my alt account, I had noticed that I just used Raw and him, and it was keeping up my team very healthy. Like you normally have to use like Raw and like a healer or something, and didn't really need to do that because that bloodthirsty was actually healing up my 5-star Sigmund and my 10-star Heart Watcher just perfectly fine. And they lasted until probably about around 13 to 14, then they'll die. But at that point, it doesn't really matter.
You've got your damage. Yep.
And it was pretty good. And it ran into a little bit of hiccups on Broken Spaces 6 a little bit, but that's probably just because of my Sigmund dying from twines and stuff. But yeah, so I probably would rank him into probably like S tier, probably right under Drake. Goes right around Belrain, Olivia, and Gurk right there.
Yeah. I mean, I noticed with him personally the same thing where he's like, he does some damage in PvE, but again, you're really not bringing him for the damage part. You're bringing him for that 40% attack and 20% crit on all your non-assassins. And if you have assassins, then it's just bonkers 80%, 40% crit. It just kind of gets out of hand. But the heal, the Bloodthirst is actually very nice. And you can build him 100% offensive and never really have to worry about him dying himself because his basic, he's going to get 2 basics off and then an active. So he's going to keep healing himself all the way back up to full with those Heart Watcher marks and everything like that. GDP, that's what he said. June, what about you? Have you had a chance to test him out?
Yeah, so for PvE, we tested him as much as possible through the Aspen Dungeon runs on stream. So for Aspen Dungeon, initial impressions is he seems like a really good hero because he has sustain. Excuse me. Any hero with sustain is going to be really useful for Aspen Dungeon. So he's got that going for him. It seems like he can toss pretty much any artifact on him. Had really good success with Cog, running him pretty offensively when the stone permitted that, and just running a Cog seems like a really good combination. But he could probably carry a torch to help you against Oberon and Valk Waves and whatnot. Again, maybe not Oberon too much because Oberon's annoying, but he's a really good hero because he has that passive built in. Not only the passives for his own attack stat and crit damage, but just he ends up being, because of the sustain, he can kind of take on some waves. But he's probably not specialized for Aspen Dungeon. For Flame Shrine, I was able to run him today on Jason's account, and we ran the Delacium Army. Pretty impressive. I think we did 4 runs, and the best we got was 175 billion.
I think that's what it was.
And it was pretty much what Megatherium shared in the Discord. His comp was, let me just pull it up here. It was Ithaqua, double Delacium, Rogan, a Drake, and a Heart Watcher. He ran Phoenix. We had better success with Dragon. Actually, Barry's the one that suggested you should try out Dragon. So the last run we did Dragon. We broke into 175 billion against Sigmund. I think Megatherium was able to hit 200 billion. And that just might be, RNG and the flame just landing on the proper units. But it seems like you don't really need burn synergy anymore. You can just kind of
you don't.
Yeah, just push through.
Adding on that, Dragon is actually really, really good on the Delacium army. That holy damage buff that you get on the active doesn't get wasted. When you're using the Phoenix, you're pretty much wasting an active almost. There's no burn synergy. All you're really getting is the 20% holy damage and the crit damage. So I figured, run Dragon, you get your crit, which brings up you to I think it's like 95% crit chance. So you're almost critting almost every single time. And the RNG you basically narrow it down to just the RNG of replicating either the bleed or the poison.
Yep.
Replicating the bleed, those high bleeds is a lot better than replicating those low bleed or the poisons. So when you're seeing those high 200 billion from the Sigmund boss, you're getting really, really good RNG on those bleed replicates right there.
Yeah, it just depends on which debuffs. I mean, it could also hit the Heart Watcher ones too, which you really don't want either. So, I mean, you do to a point, but then once you're already getting -1 damage, it doesn't really matter at that point. But the one thing I will say is frustrating with the Dragon is, unlike the Phoenix, it's impossible to see where that holy damage is landing on what heroes of yours you're actually getting the 75% holy damage.
You can actually watch it. If you
really?
look at it looks like a sword kind of slash arrow thing. Looks like the same thing as Gurk. So if you watch out for that, you'll be able to see who gets the buff.
Oh, so you actually have to watch, just basically pick the person you want to just watch Ithqua, see if it gets that little icon, that little notification. All right, that's interesting. One thing I did want to say on June's Aspen Dungeon run, I actually recorded something yesterday with my Rogan as well. I had a Radiant Kiss a Ghost on him, I think, and I actually went up against a 470 Ada one-on-one solo, and I have to say that was the most distressing fight I've ever gone through, dipping down to 1% health and back up to 100 and then back down to 1, back up to 100. The healing he can do is amazing, but anything in Aspen Dungeon over one target, I mean, he kind of just doesn't have a use at that point. Even 2, I've seen him struggle. I think I might have put him up against 2 Horus just to see, since he had faction advantage, and it did horrible. Just absolutely horrible. Well, MK, have you had a chance to test him in either Broken Spaces, Flame Shrine, any of that yet?
I've not managed to do any PvE testing with him, but I did want to say, from a design perspective, that I actually like what DH Games is doing with their heroes. You've all spoken about how Rogan has a use in PvE and how he's got this consistent attack buff. And we're seeing a lot more now heroes that you can viably run in PvP and also just go, oh yeah, I'm also going to run it in a PvE team. So from someone like myself who puts all of their resources and building into heroes for PvP, and then you just stumble across something where it's like, oh wow, this is just going to be insane for my PvE team as well. I don't have to go and build the Delacium army. I don't have to go and build these Ithaqas, even though I get that Ithaqa's got a use in PvP as well. But when you're running teams that are, you're trying to get the most out of your materials, having a hero that can give you really, really, really solid support, and even to an extent healing as well. It's that nice that you can just basically be reassured that you can build a hero that's going to work well in PvP, and then just go, and in PvE he's going to really help me out as well. And even the Aspen Dungeon, that he's got a usefulness there as well. So I like this. It's the same with when we had Russell and Drake come out. People are like, oh, these heroes they do a bit of everything, and I like it. I hope we get more heroes that keep doing this.
Yeah, versus a hero like Carrie, where it's came out and throw it in your team, oh yeah, she's gonna be good. She's just guaranteed to be good no matter what. It's
Sherlock.
Yeah, Sherlock too. A lot of people didn't build them just because waiting for Anniversary. But good lord, I do like these heroes where they're like a Sherlock, maybe not as much because he's just strong. He's just overall strong. Is he going to do damage? No, but he's like that. If you build him for PvP, you will find a use for him pretty much for the rest of the game, I feel like. Which is the same as a carry or something like that. You're just always going to be able to put that person in a lineup and have decent success. Whereas heroes like Rogan, even Ithaqua to a point, Olivia, they have uses, but not just oh yeah, I have a team, let me just throw the hero in and it'll work. So I think we should move over and talk about PvP with Rogan. Does anybody want to take the first shot at what they've experienced in PvE or PvP and what type of lineups they found him good or bad in?
I'll sit back and listen.
I think the first thing, can we just get up the final passive?
The
Like,
final passive, yeah.
Yeah, he's got up the final passive. I think that's what we're going to be talking about most.
Pretty much.
Because
This is
I
main
first
use.
saw this nearly killed me. And then I think I overrated this a little tiny too much when I saw it for the first time. Because increasing 20% speed to all allies, we all know, let's elephant in the room, speed is the best stat in PvP.
Yeah.
So as soon as you've got a hero that can manipulate speed, it's like, hello, okay, instantly on the radar, this is a hero we need to think about. And then it's crazy. Like defensively, you can outspeed people that you're tied with. You're now thinking, hang on a second, I can make heroes that were struggling because of Celestial Island potentially not struggle so much anymore. There's some real dirty things you can do with this in PvP. Now, I think a lot of people have been using him offensively and thought, oh, well, this isn't really doing much. Yeah. And I think that's been in the idea that you already have a speed advantage. And whether you've got a speed advantage of 1, whether it's a speed advantage that you're tied, whether it's 20, you're still outspeeding. Yeah. So I think from a speed point of view, just from this alone, it's got a lot of use defensively, I think. And if people have used it offensively and been like, oh, I'm not really getting much, you'll see a much better chance on the carry game anyway, because your carries are going to go first, steal energy from their carries, and Merry Christmas, guys. You won the early game. Now it's down to the late game. Good luck, Sherlock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, talking about that, it's kind of interesting, because the way I kind of think about Rogan now at this point is he's like a damage support hybrid hero where he can do some damage. Is he going to be the lowest on your team? Depends on your team, really. But he can do decent damage. And I mean, just the attack, the speed, it just feels so good. It's made heroes and certain hero combos work that previously couldn't. I know just from one of the things you probably see on my channel a bunch is the double Russell with Rogan now, because Rogans can now run Demon Bells and get those huge round 2 actives off, because the only thing going to be outspeeding the Russells now are going to be speed carries, which means you don't have to worry about them hitting 4 heroes. It's just a 1 in 6 chance to actually get hit. Maybe a 2 in 6 if you have a second one or something like that. But I mean, actually, no, it's 2 in 12. No, same thing. Whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it feels so good to be able to go faster than those actives in round 1 from carry. June, I know you had a chance to play around on Soul's account too, where he had 2 Rogans. Sadly, Soul's account didn't have a penny or double Russell. Didn't really have any of those big burst heroes on the account. But what did you experience from the double Rogan?
Oh, me specifically?
No, I said June. I think I said June.
So my bad there. Yeah, so the testing that we were able to do with the double Rogan, we did double Rogan, I think Nakia, we threw in a Faith Blade as well. Yeah. We also had, I think the first day we were running the Friendly Fire, we did double Rogan with triple Tara, I want to say. And it wasn't as bad as I was expecting, but I guess I was expecting a little bit more, just because I thought the attack buff would actually roll in really nicely with the passive that Tara provides. But yeah, we didn't get to. I've just heard about this. Maybe you guys have seen some actual footage or screenshots. But is that just purely theoretical now? But the double penny, like, because in Rogan, when you have 1, it gives again the 20 speed. But now people are obviously naturally gonna go towards what happens when you get 2 Rogans. Is there even space to have a 3rd Rogan? Is that overdose at that point, right? But having 2 and then combining all those passives from that last ability, how does that work out? So it's really interesting seeing how it was already been mentioned, but the heroes that didn't have enough speed or were just on the brink of being playable, but they were missing some stats. Maybe it was an attack stat, they need to hit harder, or maybe it was just a little bit of speed, or maybe they need a bit more crit so they're more reliable. But it seems like the synergy between DPS units and Rogan again fitting that hybrid role of like, he does a bit of damage, but he supports the team, I think, without having to really do much, just because the passive is the buff that you're looking for. So I'd actually be interested to see like what GDP thinks on the builds on Rogan that he's experimented with, because I naturally gravitated towards tanky builds, because I felt that I just wanted Rogan to stick around as long as possible. So running crowns, running runes power, running MSS so he doesn't get doved or he doesn't get marked so he doesn't die too fast, but more defensive oriented, just so he sticks around, at least for the first 2 rounds, if not 3, 4, and beyond, just so those buffs just keep going out to your damage dealer, like the Russes or the pennies, I guess, if you got them, with the Faith Blades, or the I guess the Aquas is another one that gets run, but not too much experience with the assassin comps just because of the availability right now on the accounts that I had. But yeah, that's been my experience with PvP. Solid hybrid support, reliable as well.
Yeah, so my thoughts, I'm actually in the unique position where I am pretty much behind on speed with everyone on my server. So my attack is pretty much always defense.
Okay.
So I have been able to utilize Rogan to be able to basically bring me into that attack position again. And so I've noticed that my triple carry teams are starting to become really good again. Like, if I can pretty much throw in a mix of heroes and pretty much beat anyone that I want right now on my server, depending on what teams they have.
Yeah, I've seen that triple Sherlock, triple carry. Crazy,
just because
crazy.
I have those speed advantages now that I can do that. But for double Rogan, I have noticed that, because that's how double Rogan unlocks me to get the ability for DB Russell. I can't do that with just my single Rogan. So I have to use double for that. And it's really, really impressive. It has flaws. I've noticed that Rogans with assassins can actually destroy some of those teams sometimes, like pretty consistently also. You just nuke down a Russell, that team's just dead.
Yeah.
And I've also experimented a little bit with my double Drakes. I have an E4 second Drake, and I have noticed running those with double carries have been super, super, super oppressive with a dragon. Pretty much every single hit is a crit, and the carries are hitting for well over 10 to 15 million on their actives. So it's pretty oppressive. So those fights are usually over within round 1 to 3.
Jeez.
I have, but that's like a completely different meta from what I've also experienced with another team that I don't know if I'm not gonna mention yet, but it's
keeping it close to his chest on this one.
It's probably one of the most broken teams I've probably seen in the game, in history of the game.
I guess we'll have to wait for a video later in the week for that, but I can definitely sympathize with the fact that Rogan has made it so that you can do things like having your Russell go, I'm kind of showing you guys right now, having Russell do turn 1 actives as long as they can dodge that carry active, or just the basic rather. And it's a big feeling because you go from not being able to beat some of these teams to now having gigantic turn 2 Russell actives plus the little holy arrows too. And it just absolutely wrecks teams, especially if you have 2 Russells. It gets out of hand. I can't wait to try like a 3rd Russell too. But yeah, as far as Rogan goes, I do feel like he's the hero where not another one of those heroes where not everybody should just build this hero. You have to really, at this point, when a new hero comes out, say, does this make my team better? You got to try to watch all the reviews, because there's no flat answer. Besides carry, since carry, there hasn't been a hero where it's like, no, yes, you have to build this hero. Sherlock, yeah, kind of, sort of, but of course nobody was going to, because everybody wanted to save for anniversary, except for the whales. But yeah, I mean, I kind of like how these heroes are coming out where they can make certain niche team compositions work. I know I personally try to make a kind of pure assassin PvP team work. It can sometimes, but majority of the times, it just no. I do feel like assassins are they're trying to push assassins to be better. I do feel like they really, really are trying to do that. But as far as, is it working? Not just yet. Maybe if you have all the heroes together, because I do feel like Rogan does synergize well with Drake and Russell. Those 3 work really good. But again, I mean, GDP, you've probably the most experience with this with the assassins, since you probably have more of them than we've experienced. I've only have like one of each of them, one Drake, one Russell, or not Russell, one Rogan, and one Ithaca. But have you managed to find any teams that are consistent, or are they more niche assassin teams that can win on a high roll, but most of the time you're probably going to lose?
So I have not found an assassin team yet that can basically dominate across the board. But I have found assassin teams that can pick off specific enemies. Like,
Okay.
for example, a team like yours, I'd destroy it with double Drake, double Carry, and double Rogan.
Yeah.
Your team would be dead because you have so many light heroes
Uh-huh.
that my carries and my Drakes would pop you in round 1.
Yeah, the faction advantage would just completely
It
destroy
would
them.
it would just destroy in round 1, and it would be over in round 1, round 2.
Yeah.
So those assassin teams can just obliterate like a team like this. But they will struggle against some other teams. Like you add in an Amun Ra, that assassin team is just almost neutered.
Yeah.
Like it can just
0 damage.
Just one shield can just destroy an assassin team.
Yeah.
I've noticed Athakwa is probably the best out of Faithblade and Nakia.
Okay.
Out of those 3. I've, at least for consistency wise, I found Athakwa to be the best. Just one single Athakwa. I've ran double and triple Athakwa. Triple I didn't like that much. Double Athakwa was pretty good, but once again, it was only used for specific situations where I could pick off like a Garuda or a Russell that was like low HP build.
Gotcha.
But if that Garuda is like a high HP build, it just doesn't do anything to him. But so yeah, those assassin teams are good for just like picking off a specific comp. They're not good for your defensive team lineup, essentially.
Yeah, which is one thing I was actually talking about in Discord probably the past couple days, is a lot of this PvP meta is coming down to counterplay, and it's getting to the point where if you have enough heroes, your offensive team doesn't look the same as your defensive team anymore. Most of the time people are going to be doing counterplays, just like GDP was saying. You're also going to have teams like mine kind of showing up where you don't see Garudas anymore, depending on the team, and then you just throw in a Mim Cheese in there, and it's like, on defense, you might want to leave a Garuda in there. Have you experienced that yet, GDP? Have you been running your triple Sherlock, triple carry on defense as well?
So right now I have set up. Actually, let me go check. I've been swapping between the both of them. The triple carry, triple luck does have a counter to it. One of the whales has found it. But but I do have right now a triple lock, double carry Russell set up right now. And that has a pretty high win rate to what his use was for the counter to the triple lock, triple carry.
Gotcha.
But the triple lock, triple carry is at least just running house on everything on my server. 4 carries it handles really well, 5 carries it handles really well, 3 carries it handles really well. Pretty much any carry team it handles really well. It's a very I don't know, I don't want to say the word, but it's a dumb composition.
It's kind of cheesy.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. I mean, and the other part is a lot of people, they've probably been asking you guys the same thing, is it's like, what is your final verdict on this hero? And it's kind of hard to just say outright, because a lot of it, now that we're getting heroes every single month reliably, is the meta on your server can be completely different from what you're seeing elsewhere. I mean, like my server here, there's only a handful of Sherlocks on the entire server. I mean, you even go through the top 5, there's only a couple Sherlocks, and those are at the very, very top. So you got to try to start building your teams based around your server and not necessarily who's the new hottest hero, because the new hottest hero might not work on your server, or you might have this awesome counter composition to the new hero, but then you look at your leaderboard and who's attacking you and nobody has that hero. Because let's be honest, probably every single month you might see 1 or 2 people building the new hero on your server. At least on mine, I've noticed, and I don't know if you guys have noticed on your main servers as well, that there's the whales are not whaling as often anymore. They're more free to play whales, and then all of a sudden they'll do like one big event and make
they're Christmas, Chinese New Year, and
Yeah.
anniversary whales. That's what they are.
that's yeah. It seems like that's what like the even before I felt like people were literally building every hero for a while there, like especially at the Garuda Unimax and then Terra Point, Terra Carry. But now it just seems like now they're just gonna wait. They're not gonna spend money as much anymore, which kind of is probably a good sign in a way, you know. Maybe try to incentivize people to do different things and maybe not make it.
I mean, let's be honest though. I mean, the last hero releases have not been super meta breaking, except for like one of them.
That's true, very true. Except for Sherlock, essentially. Well, I guess Carry you can count as two, but
well, since Carry essentially.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a good thing in the same way where if people want to build these heroes and have fun with them, because that's pretty much what we do, or at least have access to those types of accounts that are going to build them, but it's not required anymore. So I kind of feels like, yeah, they are putting out a ton of new heroes, but they're making them very niche heroes. So it doesn't feel bad and it doesn't feel like you're falling too far behind if you're not doing every one of these summoning events as well. You can kind of do what I was saying, is you can find the hero that you think is good for your account and build that hero. I mean, I do you guys kind of feel the same way? I feel like a lot of people don't want a hero every month. They want a hero every 2 to 3 months. But I mean, we had that at one point, and it kind of felt a little stale. Like you'd go through long periods where the meta just didn't change at all. And I feel like that's almost worse.
Yeah, I agree. I think having new heroes enter the meta every single month is where you want the game to be. Now, just the game model itself, you know, it being a mobile game and, you know, pay to win / you know, however much you want to spend, that takes away from how like a meta usually evolves, I would assume, in most games, because accessibility isn't so bottlenecked in other game design, whereas this one is. It's literally behind a paywall. Like people would want to build and have at least one strong hero like a Russ right now, but you just couldn't do it, right? Unless you wanted to spend a decent amount of money. So it takes away from that diversity, access to diversity, but in the end, it'll trickle down where you can save up your relics and cash out. But I've spoken about it on my stream recently, pretty often actually, but the game is about patience and planning, but also about timing. That's something you can't really control for, but sometimes you just high roll, meaning you get very lucky, and it just happens to be that you were the one that didn't have enough scrolls for Christmas, but you had just enough for Chinese New Year's. So you skipped on Tara, not because you had a choice, but you're like, I really want to get all the hero copies possible, so I'll just wait for Chinese New Year's. And it just turns out that Carry is the most oppressive hero released, you know, in the last little while. So sometimes it is about timing, which you can't really feel bad about. It's just part of the game. But I think consistent release of heroes is like, it's going to be good overall. And a total tangent, but it got me thinking when GDB was saying earlier, the crit chance of heroes, it being increased with Dragon and almost getting 100% crit. What do you guys think of the Black Friday frame? That one doesn't get talked about much, and I think everyone uses the Maverick frame for PvP, but the crit chance on that actually scales like pretty, I guess it goes like 10% or close to 10%. But stuff like, it's a total tangent, but I'd like to hear your thoughts maybe later about that, the Black Friday frame. I don't see many people using it, or they hide it if they are using it.
I think they probably hide it.
Yeah, the shame hide or something, I don't know. But yeah, there's the crit becoming a thing, because I guess it is kind of related to what we're talking about. Heroes being released every month. As a Dolphin, as a low spender, as a budget spender, or even a free-to-play, I mean, it's very overwhelming to try to keep pace, and you shouldn't expect to keep pace. But understand that it'll come your time eventually to hit it in POs or maybe an HM reward, and you can slowly grind towards those relics. But as new heroes get released, like this Rogan being released, could be the first step towards like Black Friday border being, now again, that's not accessible, but it's just interesting seeing new heroes get released, I guess, unlocking parts of the game that were not previously relevant or useful or not worth your resources or time. But Black Friday is probably a really bad example. But the concept, I mean, is that a new hero gets released, new teams, new metas get developed, and I think that's healthy overall. Maybe not Black Friday, though.
No, I definitely agree that the newer heroes coming out, it doesn't necessarily change your lineup, but it does change the meta lineup, which I think gives people who don't have many E5s a better chance to fight almost, because, I mean, it's a constant, like, literally this past week, I've looked at my Crystal Crown Arena, and it's like the teams literally are changing daily on what heroes are being used because nobody can find a lineup right now that can win against everything. So it almost makes it where there's a point where, yeah, you can fight back. You just got to look for those team lineups that you know you can counter, essentially. Because, like, I mean, the top 4 or 5 teams have actually, yeah, all 5 of these. I've been doing some test fighting against them. Every single one of these is different from what I tested earlier today. Every single one of these teams is different. And I think it's to the point where the competition to try to stay on top and have your defensive team set up without too many vulnerabilities, like we were talking about. I mean, if you drop a Garuda out, you're pretty much just asking for someone to take a Mim Cheese and just smash your team over and over and over in Crystal Crown League and just completely beat you down. But I do like that Rogan is a hero where he kind of, like GDP said, by having 2 Rogans, it does enable a certain type of team for him. But is it really the best thing? No, not necessarily. It enables certain things that you can do that you normally couldn't. But it still doesn't feel like it's the best team by far. And again, it can be easily countered very easily nowadays. I think the sheer number of S-tier heroes we have now in PvP is what's making this meta be so diverse and changing even within the same week on your server, because people just, every one of these heroes can pretty much counter some other composition at this point. Of course, probably except for like the Sherlock team, although GDP also said that his triple Sherlock, triple carry, somebody managed to find a team that wins. And it's like, well, now I got to change my team yet again. So I don't know. I'm just enjoying the meta right now because it's ever changing. It kind of feels like that Christmas time PvP meta before carry came out, where literally the teams were just random and ever changing. We had the aura rework, so people were messing around with a ton of different heroes. You didn't have to worry about the old school GVEs or anything like that. You just throw in any hero composition you think might work, and it just feels so diverse right now. Let's see.
I would say it's like probably the most diverse meta I've ever seen, and I've been playing Auto Heroes. Like, I'm looking at my little mock-up PvP tier list that I've made, and I mean, it's almost kind of ridiculous on how many like S-tier heroes there are. Almost, It's like a couple of them are like plug and play, and some of them are like they can do really, really well, and they're above niche kind of quality, and they're just above everyone else. So it's like there's just so many different viable options that you can have to counter someone's team, and it's going to be hard to just like stomp an IDA and just go like one team win like 3, 4, 5 teams.
Yeah,
because there's going to be a team that's going to be out there that's going to be able to just counter your team.
Yep,
so
definitely.
It's going to be interesting to see what we see in the next coming IDAs when more people get Sherlocks.
Yeah, a lot more teams
like
in their lineup are going to have it.
Start to figure out how to abuse Sherlock, and that's going to be interesting. So yeah, I could put my comments right there on Sherlock.
Yeah. One thing a lot of people are talking in chat is the problem, or low spenders have to wait that period of time, but that's pretty much always been in the game, that you have to wait a certain amount of time before you can actually build the heroes. Talking about Sherlock, we'll get him next month in Prophet Orbs. He's already in Relics this week, but the one nice change I will say from pretty much this entire year after the Mim Prophet Orb event, I believe, which was in January, is that they are now giving the newest heroes on a 3-month cycle on the Prophet Orb event. So from their release, the 3rd Prophet Orb event that comes out, they hit it, which I think does make the game more accessible to lower spenders, so long as they save for the right Prophet Orb event. At least that's my take on it.
They are releasing the Sherlock. Well, if it's on schedule, on not this next one, but next one, if you spend all your POs at that point, you should have enough time for Black Friday.
Yeah, it's perfectly timed. Even if you do 100% all in on Sherlock, not next week, but a month from next week, you will have 4 months, I think, for Black Friday. It'll be pretty close.
You should be pretty close.
Yeah, it'll be really close. You should be able to at least get 240 Prophet Orbs, which MK keeps dropping out, which is usually what is necessary to finish the Black Friday event. They usually don't make you have 320. They usually keep it to 3 loops, but you never know. They could always change things. Plus, Black Friday, I think I did the math on it. Black Friday lines up with a Imps Adventure event, so I wouldn't be surprised if Black Friday is either a 1 or 2 week event. And it would make sense to have it be on Imps Adventure this time as well, because you guys remember Easter. Easter was Imps Adventure, not Profit Orbs, which, if you guys remember, the 2 big events every year for Profit Orbs were Easter and Black Friday. Those were usually the 2 that were the biggest ones for Profit Orbs. And now one of them has already gone to Imps Adventure, so it wouldn't surprise me if Black Friday was Imps Adventure as well, with a secondary mechanic, much like how we had the hammers at Easter time. But overall, it should be the end of November for that. But like GDP says, it lines up perfectly that you can get your Sherlock copies, get the 4, do 4 loops if you've been saving, build up your Sherlock, because I mean, honestly, a Sherlock does wonders for a good average team. I think if you're looking and trying to figure out what heroes to build right now on like a mid-game account, if you build a carry, a Garuda, a Sherlock, maybe even like a Belrain, I mean, you can kind of put any other heroes with that and probably have some success in the mid game, I would say. Probably something to go to June and MK on is you guys probably have a little more experience on the late game, mid to late game servers where it's not just, oh yeah, I have 20 E5s in my hero list to pick from. What are you guys experiencing right now on your main accounts, I guess I should say?
It's I think it's kind of tedious, I think, because I think I've said this before, where I ended up with finding a lineup that I'm like, yes, this fine consistent amount of people, and I'm like, oh, the people that have the flexible hero choices. Think just listening to everything that's been said, I think one key point that I think a lot of people who are focused on PvP need to take away from this is we aren't really focused on a PvP team anymore. You PvP collection, and as the attacker, you need to know which 6 heroes are going to beat the opponent's 6 heroes. Finding that defensive team is a little more difficult because you have to set that in stone and go, right, this is what I'm going to show you boys. But actually, when it comes to an attacker, you pick. So you're not limited to having to run the same 6 heroes all the time. And I think when you're in a point, a bit like myself, where I've got 10, 11 E5 heroes, still got some flexibility, and you have to be very careful choosing what heroes to build, because you need to know that, is this hero actually one that I could viably switch in to my 6 and then beat someone I couldn't normally beat? So I think here's an example. Let's say you've got someone like an E5 Gustin, right? You could say that E5 Gustin's a nice hero to have around, but then is actually E5 Gustin ever be the hero that swapping it in is going to you beat someone you couldn't beat already? Probably not. So the Gustin around? No. You want to, when you're really tight on which heroes you can choose from, how many E5 heroes you have the materials for, you've really got to choose carefully on who you bring in and who you... So I get that, there's people who have the luxury to have a massive repertoire, but when it comes to shrinking your account down and having a smaller selection, you really got to then start thinking, right, what does this hero add already do? And I think a lot of people were asking that question when Russell and Drake came out. Like, okay, we get it, they're new, they're cool, but are they going to actually change how my win rate works? I mean, I was still, when I had Russell and Drake, there were still teams out there that were beating me with Ada and Garuda, and I was like, damn it, these guys haven't invested in Anniversary, and their win rates maybe dropped by 1%, 2%, maybe even gone up. I knew people whose defensive win rate went through the roof just because they slightly changed how they built people's Garudas. And it was kind of just worked well for them that, oh yeah, I've got my HP Garuda, or my holy damage Crown Garuda, or whatever they're doing to kind of make Garuda stay alive. It was like that, in that change, even just the change of how they built their team was more impactful than Anniversary was for them. This is pre-adjustment, but it's still that mindset. A lot of people outcry, and it's weird because when we see these heroes, people have been demanding for a while, which was really weird. If you look at Reddit's reaction, Anniversary was, we want that we're going to be OP, that we could just know we could stick in our city. But I think the meta, as it's not anymore. It's really trying to find you know what your server is and you know what 6 you need to beat a particular. But it often makes team building quite tricky because
MK's
you then go,
lagging
right,
now.
okay, I've just got to fight, come up against this guy. He's now above me in arena. Okay, he's rank 4. I'm rank 5. Okay, to get to rank 4, I got to go strip my gear and change my stones, and I've got to go do this and go change that. And there we go. It's that team to beat him. All right. Okay, here's the guy in rank 2 that I'm going to start spamming against. Right, let's change my. It's not that extreme, but point like that. So yeah, it's a bit of saying. Don't think about just having 6 heroes.
No,
7,
you,
8, 9.
really lagged up there
Knowing.
too. I think we got most of that, MK. Started to your video and audio went completely out of sync there. I think we got most of it, but hopefully it comes out pretty good.
DH Games doesn't add enables, so you don't have to.
Oh yeah.
Say it again, GDP.
If they started adding enables, then you wouldn't be able to do that plug and play then.
Oh yeah. I mean, one thing I think would be an interesting balance change if they ever wanted to touch enables would be take this Purify at E3 and swap it with Balance Strike in E5. So then you have to pick between Purify and Unbending Will for PvP reasons, and then you have Balance Strike and Resilience as your 2 healing options, essentially. I thought that would be something interesting to do and add a little bit more change into the meta, because I mean mostly there's not that much you're doing in your skills. I mean,
no one's gonna take Purify.
Exactly, but I feel like that would actually open many more things up. Can you imagine? I feel like that would make heroes like Ada stronger again, because guess what, that healing mark, that's here to stay now. That's kind of stacking again, things like that. But June, what about you in the kind of late game? What have you been experiencing on your account?
Well, on my personal accounts, I'll be brutally honest. Managing like too many accounts, so I tend to not focus too much on PvP. But what I will say, kind of piggybacking of what GDP and MK have mentioned, the plug and play aspect, there not being as much plug and play. Just grab a hero, toss in your comp, it's going to work. I think we're entering a part of the game which I believe is a really healthy kind of era. Is really the fact that testers get rewarded, right? So MK is talking about, and as well as GDP, is like, I have comps that destroy this team, but I'm gonna get completely destroyed by the counter because the counter exists, and then it's my job to test or figure out, like, look on my my record of losses and figure out why did I lose this matchup, and understanding game mechanics. Speed is, again, one of the god stats of PvP. Understanding the mechanics of why you lost and why you beat people and using that to your advantage, because you don't want a game that's diluted where it's just like grab 6 Adas or grab 6 carries, you just win the game. So then it just becomes this, it's an arms race to like 6 of the same hero or 4 of the same hero. But when there's diversity, that means you can strategically outmaneuver other people that are relying on these carry style heroes that are just, I make like really strong heroes that I could probably beat anyone, right? You want a meta game where you're rewarded for actually realizing that, oh, I can really destroy the top 3. But when the bottom 20 come in with their like very specific comps, whether it be assassins to counter, my light heroes because they're using a bunch of dark assassins or whatever it may be, that's, I think, a sign of like good game design. And it promotes people to, not everyone wants to live like a cookie cutter, tell me exactly what it is, I'm going to run it. Some people want to like get on the like their own little like experiments and test and try to find niche teams that they might not win 60% of the time, but maybe they're winning 55 or 45, and they get enjoyment out of that, because like I'm not building like 3 Garudas and whatever XYZ, right? I'm building like one of this niche hero with a combination of this, and now Rogan's in the mix, so my slower heroes are critting more and they're a bit faster, and I think that's super healthy. And to touch on the fact that I've always been super invested in PvE, but I never discount PvP. I just don't spend too much time doing it. But I've always had, my North Star has always been hybrid heroes. So these heroes that are, whether they're supports or your main core team, they can perform very well in Aspen Dungeon, Broken Spaces, Flame Shrine, whatever it may be as far as PvE goes. But they are also not complete pushovers in PvP. Now, you won't be able to compete with teams that have the brand new anniversary hero or the brand new hero that just released like a Rogan to outspeed the rest of the server for the coming months. But a hero like Sherlock is a great example. He is very oppressive, very strong, and he's accessible to everyone at a low cost of 60 relics relative to the LD options. So he's very strong, like Garuda, right? Garuda is an amazing hybrid hero because she does everything amazing in Broken Spaces and Flame Shrine. She kind of falls off in Aspen Dungeon, but that's not that important. But the main components are those where you get a lot of payoff. But she's a house in PvP. So for me, hybrid heroes have always been very fascinating. And Sherlock is another one in that lineup where you can invest minimal relics to get copies if you weren't able to spin 4 loops right before anniversary. I think most people were not able to do that. So you can wait for the relics. You get, you know, it's only 60 relics, and also offered in Imps and Venture. That's another great avenue for the lower spenders, the people that can't keep up with the higher spenders, to slowly accrue copies. And those are the heroes you want to target. Heroes that are, again, I call them hybrid heroes because they're so great in many aspects of the game. And for Sherlock, the best place to find him in PvE is currently Aspen Dungeon. If you watch any of my recent videos, you can see that he really pops off in Aspen Dungeon. And again, everyone's using him in PvP now. So I think it's really nice to see the design go to that way of hybrid heroes. Just creates good metas, a lot more options. And I do like how understanding game mechanics, like GDP is one of the best people that we have in our community that understands game mechanics. And I never really thought of it until he was just talking about it earlier, but he's like, yeah, I've got comps and I test them. Like I often see his screenshots on Discord and I see the videos that he posts, but I often don't think deep enough to go, oh yeah, he's winning and he's showcasing the teams he wins. But what's important is not more so what he's using, but what he's using it against. So if he's showing a defensive screenshot, you have to ask the question, like, what is he fighting up against? It's not that that team is like, oh, I'm going to make GDP's team and I'm just going to ruin the server. I'm just going to destroy everyone, right? That's not the case. He has access to many different configurations and he knows the mechanics. That's why he can showcase win rates. But I never really thought of it like that deep, and maybe it's just me, but it's like, it's very specific, right? It's at a point where the meta is very specific. So if you have the right understanding of mechanics, you could probably put together teams that will counter literally everything. But you just can't sit in CCL anymore with a bunch of carries and expect to win, right? Russ is here. You got Rogan now outspeeding, so the Russes can actually counter your carries. So it's a really interesting. It's really interesting, I think, for PvP. But I don't have any personal experience on my own servers, unfortunately, because I'm mostly doing PvE stuff. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean,
unless he's just throwing a bunch of Sherlocks and let the carries win.
I guess so. Yeah, there's that.
One day June will be given an account with 5 Sherlocks, and he'll just have like a death 100 run done. Sadly, you don't get a checkpoint or anything like that. You got to go back to 50. But...
Speaking of the carries, I've been running Glittery Antlers Cane on carry. The reason being is when the death passive, she dies, it stacks up. So round 10 to 14 is doing 8 to 10 million damage. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, and especially with you're going into those 15 plus rounds, it just starts like one-shotting people essentially. Wow, that's kind of crazy because you don't care if your carry dies. You can build them glass cannon for all you care. They're coming back an unlimited number of times, which I think now with the new system is kind of a bad thing. I mean, it already felt bad having to kill a carry 5 times in a battle to win or something like that. But now that there's unlimited rounds, do you think DH Games would ever nerf a hero? We've seen them buff heroes. I mean, besides like what, Valkyrie got a nerf right after she came into the game, I don't think there's been any other heroes they've ever nerfed per se. Can you remember any?
They indirectly nerfed them with Guild Tech.
Well, yeah, Guild Tech. Yeah, I feel it really badly on my Terras right now. Everybody went to that Dove man. Tech.
Yeah,
feels so bad. But
I think they nerfed.
Yeah, they did nerf. They did nerf Flame Strike. There was a massive cheese ability. I remember when Flame Strike first came out.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like at this point, most of the heroes that are in the game, they're happy with. I do like that they are listening to the average player in the community. I mean, did Russell need a buff? No. Did Drake need a buff? Probably not. Did they get buffs? Yes. They heard people complaining, so at least it goes to show that they are listening to the community, trying to make the game better. We already have a lot of interaction on Discord now with one of the community managers, so we got a lot of feedback going to them as well. But overall, I mean, even if we are getting a new hero every month like Rogan, I don't think it's that bad of a thing. It can be fun to keep the game fresh, even if you're not building the hero, you get to see how the hero works, how it interacts. Like us, we got to test him in Aspen Dungeon, realized, yeah, no, he's not really an Aspen Dungeon hero. he can beat some niche waves, but is he worth a slot? Not really, no. But overall, I mean, it does keep the game fresh, and as long as they're not too powerful, I think we're fine with the way it's going. I think it's fine. I mean, yeah, you'll have the occasional one like Sherlock where he will probably dominate our meta for a while. We're just starting to see people build their first Sherlock on my server. I know other servers, you're seeing 2 and 3, which probably gets really oppressive, but honestly, anything to get rid of the 4 carry double Garuda lineups that I just hate fighting, I'll take any of that to get rid of that combo right there. But is there anything you guys want to close on? Any other thing we didn't talk about? June, anything?
One thing. Did we talk about the 15 plus rounds?
Just a little bit here and there.
The 15 plus rounds. I don't know if we had much conversation last podcast, but I believe we got that update, but we didn't have too much time. I don't know if you guys, we touched on it just earlier there. You mentioned the 15 plus rounds, but Carry being the one with the infinite revives. I don't know if you guys are in favor of these infinite rounds. I love it because in Aspen Dungeon, Sherlock is just popping off. He just got a crazy upgrade. But in PvP, I haven't experienced enough. Like I don't mess around enough in PvP to really see the ups or the downs. But maybe hear your thoughts on your feelings on them removing that cap.
I feel like it's going to be niche matchups that are going to be hitting that, kind of like ones that GDP probably has experienced more. Like me, I don't think I've really hit around 15 plus on my teams.
Yeah, so I found that when you go like 4 carry versus 4 carry, so if you're trying to like counter someone's 4 carry double Garuda or something like that, or 3 carry double Garuda Sherlock, if you're trying to just mirror that, you'll go into round 15 to 20 all the time, and it always ends up coming down to your Garudas die and your Sherlock is alive, and you're just whoever wins, whoever Sherlock is the last one alive is usually the one that wins. And that's kind of where I came up with the triple Sherlock team. Is if you try to force that 15 plus, you're gonna win almost every single time, because Sherlock is the only hero that can live it, because when those carries passives are hitting you, you're going to HP swap with one of those higher heroes. So no other hero can do that. So Garuda can kind of heal when people die, but there becomes a point where the damage is just too much for Garuda to live.
Exactly.
And Sherlock is the only hero that can live it.
Yep. Yeah, and I feel like this is kind of like what someone was saying is whale problems. I think the average player is never really going to experience round 15 in their regular old PvP meta. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know if the Trial of Champion is still supposed to be having a change. I know they had talked about changing it to being 2 lineups with unlimited rounds as well or something, but I haven't heard anything since then. I don't know if you've noticed anything that I've missed, GDP, but it'd be interesting if that's a different style of combat than what it is currently and how it interacts with that 15 round.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure TOC is TOC limited still? I've really noticed. I don't really watch my TOC.
Nah,
that's true. Yeah, it might not be.
I don't think I've ever watched a TOC.
I will go on record to say though that these 15 plus rounds currently, as GDP has pointed out and has experienced himself with Carry and Sherlock, that's the 2 combinations that can live to those rounds. We still got 6 more non-LD heroes before Christmas, and then 10 more after that, or whatever. Like, I'm just gonna keep going. This 15 round max is like, it's such a brand new meta that I just see some degenerate things in the future happening when like it just needs 1 or 2 more heroes to break into those rounds. And then it's like, if we're one-shotting Garudas in around 20 or 30, if any hero can break into those 15s and like consistently make, not a triple carry, triple Sherlock, but some other comp allow that to get into this late PvP rounds, I can see that creating a whole new type of metagame where it's like either you're killing them before 15 or you're just trying to bide your time till 15, and then you can just kind of roll them over. That doesn't exist currently, right? Because the enables, the gear, the stones, the artifacts, the heroes are not there yet. But it just takes a handful more heroes, and then it's a brand new PvP situation where you're trying to bide your time to 15. So it's interesting, I think.
No, yeah. I mean, the PvP meta, I think, is going to keep changing too, because I feel like there's not one person that has every one of their heroes with the exact right stone they want and all this other stuff. Because let's be honest, the biggest problem for whales right now is dust. Like, you just don't have enough dust to build anything you want. You can't build new heroes because you don't have dust. You can't re-roll your stones to get those tests in to see, well, maybe this stone works better. I don't know, because I can't afford to try to re-roll for it either. So
I will say what I do with stones is I keep my stones at C6 when I make a new hero.
okay.
And then I unlock all my stuff, and I get the cheap versions of the stones that I want in that hero before I take it into Soulstone.
That's a good idea.
Smart.
So that way I have a stone that I want in PvP no matter what when I'm upgrading.
Yeah. And that, I mean, the only time that that's really going to hold you back is if you need that speed stone to compete.
Yeah,
But besides
exactly.
that, any other stone should be fine.
Yeah.
Shouldn't see too much of an issue with that. That's a really smart idea.
You know what we should push to the community, actually, the managers? I don't know if anyone's mentioned it yet, but why don't we get a rework on regressions and replacements? I thought of this idea when we were listening to MK earlier. And he was talking about you really need to hone, like if you're a dolphin or a mid spender, you know, an X whale, you really got to be careful with the hero decisions you make, because it costs you not only resources, time, but, you know, just like time in the arena, being able to compete PvP. But if they were to rework the regression, because let's be honest, every month a new hero gets released. Now the Eternity Crystals is a step in the right direction, but just for using the old soul symbols to regress and to replace, I feel like they could do something there. Create an event once a month where you get like 100% rewards, like you don't lose anything for regression. Just something kind of to, like, you know, like kind of, again, the whales have problems, as well as if you start building up a lot of heroes all at once, you're going to run out of dust, and maybe even the purple stone. So it's, I don't know, something worth maybe mentioning to the community managers to be like, give us more resources, or make regressions better.
The 60%
the way
is just
the way you got to think about it is like every 3 regressions that you do is a full E5 worth of heroes resources that you lose.
You just completely lose it.
So I mean, I'm in the constant struggle of having resources. Like it takes a solid 3 to 4 weeks to get all the resources that you need for an E5, the Golden Spirit. At my VIP level and everything, it takes. And this is dumping gold into the spirit every single day. It takes about 3 weeks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's rough.
So that's really rough.
It is.
Yeah. I did mention another thing is getting enough 6-star gear sets to constantly be swapping over and having your splits gear sets while still getting new sets constantly. And I was like, yeah. And she even this community manager we talked to was like, oh, so you're talking about whale problems, hell? And I'm like, yeah, pretty much. I don't have enough gear for all my heroes. I'm getting all these E5s, and then like once in a while I have to throw like 4 or 5-star gear on them because I just don't have it.
Gear all the time.
Yep. It's like, and she's like, I'll bring it up, but I don't think they're gonna change anything. I'm like, essentially, what we're gonna have to do, and what I've started to do, is Great War's Blessing. You literally have to buy all 3 of them to just constantly keep upgrading.
The good news is, if you hit level 317, you start getting 4-star gear in your campaign.
Yeah. That's not too bad, at least, but
yeah, they gotta. Yeah, again, there's a lot of stuff they can revamp to just kind of offset that monthly hero release. Not, again, everyone's not keeping pace with that, clearly, but I think it's nice to just have that in. There's a lot of old design though, like the gearing system, having split gear with more HP. That's so unintuitive. Like, so when they do the gear rework, I hope they put some enable system into it, so you can just invest in a set of gear, and it, like, I don't know, you can do something where you can just like add stat or shift stats that you want instead of having to do the split gear 1-3 split. Like, trying to explain that to a newer player, and they're just like, I don't get it. Why wouldn't I just put assassin gear on my assassin? Why am I doing this weird 1-3 situation? It's like, I don't know. It's not intuitive at all.
One thing we did see when we did get the nice new glittery relics is we got a purple pinkish, or I guess pink button for our gear slots as well. So my guess is we're going to have some sort of upgraded class gear coming up eventually as well. So, I mean, I'd rather have something like that than E7 personally.
Support
E7's like, well, now I got to regress heroes. What are you saying, GDP?
Support did hint to it that they did have plans.
It's the last item on the list. We have glittery artifacts now that are the pink color. We're gonna have brand new stones that are pink.
We're gonna have pink gear.
If we have to split gear like let's say you have to go like 2-2 split glittery and class gear, I'm gonna
Oh
lose.
Jesus, please
I'm
no.
just gonna lose it.
They better
If you get
have
max HP. Oh my god, I don't want to do that.
they better have stats so it's not as good as running
Yeah.
a 3-1 or a
Otherwise,
2-2 or something like that. I just see
It needs to be built in.
I see MK just shaking his head constantly over there. I will
Not like
take it
this.
any day of the week over E7 because E7 means you instantly have to regress heroes so you don't fall behind. It's literally
Yeah.
like the only possibility, which
I hope
like
they
we were
learn.
talking about, that's a lot of resources you lose.
Yeah, if they do that, don't do what I did when E5 was released, the regressed in E3 Mim. And a Michelle.
Oh man.
Gotta pay for progress.
Yep, I guess so. Jeez. Well, I hope I hear back very soon. I should have a lot of information coming soon. I had a bunch of interview questions I've sent over to the CMs. They're getting developer answers right now, so hopefully we get some good news. I put literally like 50 plus questions on it. I was like, all right, you pick what you want to pick, but there better be a lot of these answered on here, and hopefully we'll get a lot of news soon. I know they're working on it right now, but it's kind of like a side project for them, so they gotta do it when they have time. But I'm hoping they give us some spoilers.
Someone said in chat, glittery heroes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, please no.
MK, did you have anything else you wanted to bring up today?
There was one thing I was thinking about that I meant to say earlier, but I didn't know if we were on the right point to start having a small bit of a tangent.
Oh, it's perfect.
But I think
now.
June touched a little when he said that we have all these heroes yet to come, but he was talking in the context of what degenerate stuff could come from this round 15. But I got to think about this. We've got Rogan, and I think Rogan is the first hero in a while who's very specifically synergized towards a particular type of assassins, right? He gives double benefit to assassins. So we've got, I think, is it a light assassin now? So Rogan could be absolutely nuts as soon as that light assassin comes up.
Yeah.
And it could just be like, oh, well, we all need to go and get a Rogan now because he's compulsory with the new light assassin.
They'll be in profiteers by then.
Well,
I mean,
the Rogan could be a hero that's going to be broken in the future.
That's a high
There's a
possibility.
dark mage on anniversary, and there's a mage boost hero.
Oh God!
If they start just making class heroes,
well, like it's interesting though, like that concept of pairing heroes, right? It's almost, I guess it's kind of like a dumbed down version of like plug and play, but it's just like, oh, it says assassin. I'm just gonna toss the assassin. And just test a couple assassins and see if that works. But yeah, pairing the heroes. But I like that. Yeah, if the light assassin is next,
it should be. Yeah, it should be.
It's gonna be interesting.
I don't think they'll come out with a light mage, which would be the other possibility. I'm pretty sure it's going to be assassin, but that hero could either make or break the assassin class, really. They've already got Drake, which was solid, but again, is not a hero you just throw in any old lineup. We'll have to see if the light one is or not. I mean, I don't know.
They're prepping for it. They're prepping for it. Rogan is the last assassin before then, so they're like, right, we need the mega assassin buff hero.
Faithblade and Omnivore.
We're gonna give them double stats.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, it's pretty wild though when you think about it.
Now they all wish they bought their Rogans now.
Yeah. Now they have to spend more money.
Yeah. It does. It incentivizes us as players to start grabbing two heroes from most likely two different factions to create these like hyper synergies.
Yeah.
So this is the first, it could be the first in a long line of like these. Magic has these, they're called lords, but they give these bonuses to one type of, like an assassin, let's just say. So it's the same kind of idea. Right? You have a bunch of heroes on the battlefield. You have the one lord, which is Rogan. He's just pumping up all the assassins. So, and he even does better than like a typical Magic the Gathering lord. He just does. You guys get half bonuses, but if you're an assassin, you get double. So if they just keep going down this path, it would make non-LD very interesting. If you're creating synergies from non-LD and LD, so you have to have the anniversary hero, but you better have picked up at least the synergy hero that was a non-LD on the way up. And you gotta start buying scrolls now.
Yeah, pretty much. But should be interesting to see. Hopefully, I don't think there's any other factions that are in line for an assassin. I know Fortress would be the only other one that could potentially, maybe. I don't even think no, because they had Shia come out 4 heroes a year. Yeah, no, really, the only one that's up for another assassin right now is Light. We just had a Dark. We obviously just had a Forest. We had Nakia just 2 heroes ago in Abyss, Shia 4 back, and then of course we had Ithquil, which was the newest. So yeah, I mean, the kind of scary thing is it seems like they got all their check marks done for assassins, so now it's kind of back up to like mages, which is kind of scary to think about because mages have been some of the most powerful heroes in the game.
Well, they were powerful because we all started in 20. So we were there during the mage wave. The mage wave. I started right at the beginning of it, which was Valentino, then Jara, then Mim.
Mm-hmm.
The Chinese New Year was Ada, and Ada was the creme de la creme mage.
Yeah,
mega mage. Yeah. We've had Go back. We've had what are our assassins?
Don't forget Oberon.
We got Drake.
Oberon.
Oh yeah. Wait, what? Oh no, forget that. But then again, actually, no, he did technically for a while. Yeah. But we've got Ithaca, technically, Nakia kind of, yeah, I guess. But you know what I mean, right? We've had a bunch of assassins, and now the final one is the Ada assassin. It's the assassin. It scares me, guys. It's gonna be either amazing or it's gonna do an Aspen, and it's gonna be like, aha, we tricked you.
I mean, just look
at the other one was the one. Power and carry. Which one is Chinese New Year going to be? That's the thing, because they released the light and dark.
They might flip flop it again.
Light.
Yeah, that's true. They could switch it on us.
They alternated it from the previous year, so could be interesting. It does look like in the Shadow faction we're probably up for a Ranger. Kameth was the last Ranger, and we've had every other class there. As far as Fortress goes, it probably looks like we're getting a Priest. Because the last Priest we got was Emily, which was a long time ago. Like a really long time ago. Emily and Ormus back to back. I mean, we've had 7 heroes since the last Priest. I'm pretty sure we might get another Fortress Priest, I think.
As far Rangers are pretty good, so hopefully the Shadow Ranger would be really good.
Yeah.
I really hope so.
Mm-hmm. They need something. They
Imagine
really
if they
do.
Speed boost doubled for doubled for Rangers.
Oh God, get out of here! Get out of here with that crap with Carry.
No.
They can't do that with Carry in the meta. Sorry.
Actually, yeah, that's a good point. They can't really release like a synergy based for other classes because other classes have already been overpowered. So if they release something like a Rogan for like Rangers or mages, that's just going to obliterate whatever assassin is able to claim of the meta. That just goes away instantly, right? It's just like, unless it's something really benign, but I don't think they would do that. Like, no one would want to spend scrolls for a hero like that. So they'd have to go over the top, and then that just creates another imbalance. I think letting assassins get these weird double buffs is fine. Like, they've just been oppressed for so long.
Yeah.
Just let them do their thing.
Agreed.
I mean, Abyss looks like they're pretty much in line for another Priest as well. Cruz was the last one, and he was 5 heroes ago.
The way I think about it is assassins should be in a meta that's like really quick and fast, and just having those quick 2 rounds give them the ability just to end it in those 2 rounds. And if they can't, well, they lose. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you take a look at what Faithblade teams are doing. Faithblade is doing crazy high damage numbers, but it's like he just gets 1 shot. But if he can get 2 actives off, you kind of have a high chance of winning. It's that very dynamic but very unreliable type lineup.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I think I mean, it looks like we're up for another Ranger in Forest as well. So we might be getting a couple Rangers back to back.
Ranger meta.
Ugh. No.
Carry being a Ranger is like, it's not good. It's not good. It's not
How
good.
Carry's not a mage, I don't understand, but whatever.
Something probably worth mentioning is actually, I've been talking to Vince, so I've collaborated with him with a bunch of the infographics. It's like data driven, like I try to be. But I think the stat is roughly 4 months to max a statue at this point. So I think around Christmas, so Chinese New Year's, Christmas, later on this year, we're all going to have max statues for both. So that'll be something interesting to look forward to, or maybe not look forward to. So it'll be a balanced playing field in that sense.
Yeah,
so
it'll-
everyone's gonna have max light, max, like max both statues. So
It'll make
it'll be
it
back
so
to
much
what it
easier.
used to be, right?
Yep.
So that's something interesting that it'll play out, I guess, for the the Chinese New Year's and Christmas heroes. It'll be a balanced as far as speed goes.
Yeah.
You'll be able to figure out, am I faster than this team or not?
Yeah.
Do they have a Rogan? They don't. All right, I know the speed stat, so I can go in type of thing. So
And not be too speed off just because they got an extra windfall chest or whatever. You know,
exactly.
It's like,
Yep,
it's near impossible to figure out. Except I have to fight the team a couple times and literally figure out what their speed is first. But yeah,
I've been behind on speed ever since Celestial Islands first one ended. The guy got luckier than me, and then I was behind ever since then.
And then there's nothing you can do about it except hope you get luckier on the next one. Pretty much.
I am getting, at least the last time I checked, I am getting 13,400 on my next 9-star.
Okay.
Which is absolutely insane luck. I got like, I think 8 windfalls.
Yeah.
So
That's expensive.
Yeah, I've actually got quite a few on mine too. That's nice. But again, it's just another thing comes down to RNG. But yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully they keep improving the game, and hopefully we keep seeing more heroes, in my opinion, like Rogan, where it's not the great. Now we're going to see 5 of them on a lineup, and that's the meta, and it feels horrible if you can't whale and do the same. So it does make it so it's a little easier for other people to compete. But I think overall, Rogan, a nice way to kind of sum him up is he is a good niche hero. He has uses in PvE, not as a damage dealer, but honestly as a support hero. He has, I guess, maybe some in Aspen Dungeon, but I probably wouldn't even consider it. If you're a newer player, I bet he could get you to he could probably get you to death.
Yeah, I think he's
Hell at least.
Yeah, he can get you to hell 50, I think. Death possibly as well, because you don't face too many ridiculous 4-person waves. Sealand, not a Sealand hero. He's a Sealand support hero essentially as well. He does keep you alive a little bit longer, so you get the extra Garuda actives off, but you need 2 Garudas at the end of the day for 4 Sealand. I don't think I've seen anybody besides the full Oberon teams do Sealand 20 that didn't have 2 Garudas. So I think Sealand, again, just a support hero. His active can be helpful, I guess, to make people tank 1 or 2 more hits by getting them heals and healing them back up. But then PvP, he is a overall decent hero. I mean, I think I would still rank him low S tier. What do you think, GDP?
I think he's like S minus somewhere around there. Like he's better than A tier, like just because of the speed ability. But like once that falls off, all you're gaining is the attack and his possible ability to finish people. And if you can't really capitalize off of that, I mean, then why are you running him?
Exactly.
So
at the end of the day, I so much of a tier list right now just involves what else is on your team and what are you fighting, because there are teams you could put him on that he would probably be a B tier. Honestly, he just wouldn't help your team. Kind of like running him with a whole bunch of Terras. Essentially, it's like he's not really doing anything to help your Terras. He's actually probably just making your team worse. You could throw almost any other hero in there and probably perform as good or better. So he is a hero where you do need to think, what is my account look like? What heroes do I have? Is he going to help? And if that answer is a question mark, you probably just don't want to build this hero or really even strive for him. But again, he might have potential down the road simply because of Warpath Roar. Just because of that speed bonus at the first couple of rounds, it can enable certain heroes to be viable that maybe were not. I mean, like we were talking about Demon Bell Russell, it makes it so much more viable if you can get off before you go up against those actives from the carry. So it is, it is one thing that's great. But overall, I would give him a low S tier grade. GDP, that's what you think too. June, you kind of agree, or do you have a different opinion on him? Final thought. What'd you say?
I agree.
I agree.
Yep, I concur.
Yeah. MK, concur? Do we have a consensus here?
Well, that's what I put in this S tier. But I think I put him around there. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think it's somewhere between Olivia and then Like I think he's in the Amon Ra kind of place.
Okay, yeah, and just same thing.
Yep.
Amon Ra can be really good in certain setups. So that's your final thoughts, at least from the first 5 days of testing, 4 days of testing, essentially 4 days of testing. So hopefully it gives you guys a little more input and helps you decide if you want to build Rogan or not. Again, you can probably wait and grab him in Profit Orbs. He's nothing I don't think you need to grab ASAP, but if you do want to before Black Friday, you can. But I think most people should be saving for Black Friday just in case it is Profit Orbs and my stupid prediction of Imp's Adventure is completely wrong. Always play it safe, always save. So I think that'll wrap it up today. Going over the Rogan here, talking a little bit about PvP, PvE, all that stuff, our hopes for the future of the game as well. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one, and I'll see you guys next time.